Hi, my name is Juan Mariscal. I'm the chairman of the Bristol County Water Authority, and tonight we have a public hearing on proposed amendments to the Bristol County Water Authority's rates, fees, and charges. It's January 22nd, and we had given notice in both the newspaper and online of this public hearing. And we have a presentation that will be made in a moment by our executive director. And with that, we'll turn it over to him.
All right, very good. Good evening, everybody. The presentation for the public hearing, it pretty much follows a similar format that you've seen in years past with some updates. It's about 30 slides and it gives a little background on the authority, some of the challenges that we face, talks about some of our more recent, current, and future projects, both, and we talk about the operations and maintenance budget and the capital budget, and the recommended rate increase to support our operations. Bristol County Water, we serve Barrington, Bristol, and Warren. For the 2020 census, a little over 50,000 customers. As of the end of this past 2025, there's 17,444 meter connections, all fairly new meters, radio read meters. We average 3.2 million gallons per day. We manage 233 miles of pipeline, and the system is supported by 3 pumping stations, 5 water storage tanks. We have 32 employees. Through our strategic plan, we have 4 major strategic initiatives, and that is to continue to maintain high-quality water and secure an alternative water supply source, continue to provide exceptional customer service, continue to enhance our information management systems and improve operational efficiencies, and continue to ensure financial stability. Our challenges. And our challenges, some are unique to us, some are challenges that many other utilities also face. But I guess our one significant challenge is that we rely on one single source of supply. And all our water is purchased from Providence Water, and the supply source is the Citro Reservoir. We, along with many other systems in this part of the country, have aging infrastructure. Many old cast iron pipes in the system, and we're somewhat unique in that we have areas of low system pressure that we have been addressing over the past few years. Costs have increased significantly, particularly after the past few years, particularly after the COVID years, and those costs are not going down. There's limited state and federal funding. Any state and federal funding there is mainly in the form of loans and not grants. We do have some older infrastructure that is no longer needed, such as the old plant. We did recently remove some of the dams associated with the reservoir. We've been seeing a declining trend in water usage and water sales. And even this past year, we lost a large consumer, a commercial user that was a fish processing plant, moved out of the district. We have an increased need for security, both in our facilities and cybersecurity. And one of the challenges that we face, along with many other water utilities, is to continue to maintain a stable and well-trained workforce. Not a lot of individuals going into the water utility business, so it's difficult to not only find good workers, but also to keep them. So one of the first items that I mentioned, water supply. As I said, all water comes from the Providence system, Citro Reservoir, and we receive on average 3.2 million gallons per day from them. So what is the risk there? So the risk is, so if there was a flow reduction from Providence, or if it was terminated for a period of time, or even, and that's kind of a slight risk, but even more so is that we have a pipeline that's 160 feet that runs under the Providence River. And this pipe did experience a leak in 2019. And this shows a repair that was made. So it was a 24-inch pipeline, and the repair was made with an 18-inch PVC slip line pipe. The solution to that issue is to connect to an alternative water supply source. And that would be the Pawtucket water supply. And once tied in, Bristol County Water would have access to 2 separate high-quality water supplies. And the pipeline will be constructed in 2 phases. Now, phase 1 was completed and activated in June of 2022, and this provided a critical redundant connection to the Providence supply, and it's tied into the East Providence system, but also has its own independent pipeline that crosses under the Providence River. And phase 2 is a 30-inch pipeline, which would run approximately 5 miles from a site, the water storage tank site in East Providence, to the Pawtucket water supply system. That project is still in design and permitting, although we are close to final design and getting all those documents into the respective permitting agencies. It's just a graphic to show this pipeline project. As I mentioned, it's 5 miles of 30-inch pipe. It starts here at the Kent Heights tank site. The 2022 connection came from our pipeline here and tied into here. So we do have a pipeline or connection here that was done. That was phase 1. And so this would be a supply line that would serve not only Bristol County Water, but also East Providence. It runs to the north through some city streets before coming out onto Warren Avenue. This is a tunnel crossing under 195. Crosses through some private property before coming onto Waterman Avenue, which is another state roadway. Heads west, and this is the intersection of Waterman Avenue and Pawtucket Avenue. This would be Providence Country Day, EP High School, and then from here it's straight up Pawtucket Avenue to the terminating at Pawtucket Water Supply. This would be the connection right at the East Providence Pawtucket town line. Some additional crossing challenges is the 10-mile river here, which requires a utility bridge, and also crossing of the railroad at this location, which would require another utility bridge. And then there's another railroad crossing here, and this is designed to be a underground trenchless crossing. At this time, the plans are considered pretty much 90% complete and are being submitted to regulatory agencies for approval. So we have a partnership with East Providence for the design phase of the project. East Providence has shared and contributed $603,564 to date on this project. And we have developed our 10-year financial plans to account for construction with and without East Providence. This will be a goal for this coming year, is to secure our relationship with them for the construction of the pipeline. Over the past few years, we built some reserves in our capital account to apply to future project costs to minimize future rate increases. We also developed a budget not accounting for any state or federal funding, although we continue to seek out source funds if available. And we both have, both Bristol County and East Providence have applied independently to Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, which does provide low interest loans for projects of this type. And this project has been ranked high on their project priority list. As mentioned previously, we have a lot of older pipes in the system, so one of our initiatives is annually to either clean and line cast iron pipes, replace and line some asbestos concrete pipes, eliminate reduced low pressure zones, and minimize shutdowns by installing new valves and tying in dead ends. Over the past 10 years, we rehabilitated approximately 100,000 feet of pipeline. And just to give you an idea here, we use our GIS system, categorizing all of our pipelines throughout the system. And as you can see throughout, the red section of pipe on this map identifies older cast iron pipe. And that accounts for almost a third of the system, about 75 miles that we still have within the system. Last year, some of the projects that we completed, one was replacement of a pipeline on Gooding Avenue, which we identified that had some corrosion issues, and also on Naomi Drive. And upon completion of that work, we added 94 additional customers to what we call the high service area for improved system pressure. And also in Warren, on Child Street, we installed 330 feet of new 12-inch main. We cut and capped all of the former mains and services that came from the former treatment plant. And we installed new valves, and in doing so, we improved system resiliency to the water main, which serves the east section of Warren. While we were doing the Child Street project, we recognized there was quite a bit of work that still needed to be completed. Pipelines were in rough shape, and so that has been the focus for our 2026 planned water main rehab. Quite a bit of work, looking over 5,000 feet of cleaning and lining of 12-inch and 6-inch main, installing a small amount of new 12-inch ductile iron main. It also includes new gate valves and renewing 55 public water services. We have increased our water main rehab work cost-wise from $1.5 million, which was last year, to $3.8 million for this year. Another initiative that we've been busy working on is to comply with the lead service line replacement rule that was instituted by US EPA and the state of Rhode Island in early 2024. Involved quite a bit of data analysis and inventorying, not only the public side of the service line, but also the private side of the service line. There's been a new definition of what is considered a lead service line. It includes galvanized steel or galvanized iron that were once went downstream of a lead gooseneck connector is now considered a complete lead service line. Bristol County has been, we've been actively replacing these service lines over the past 10 years, and proud to show that all of these last year have all been replaced. So on the public side anyways, all Bristol County system is lead free on the public side, and we actually only know of one actual completely lead service line on the private side, and that is the homeowner is working on replacing that program. But with respect to the galvanized iron piping, we have budgeted $150,000 in the capital improvement program for the next 2 years, with the objective of removing all of the lead and possible lead services in accordance with state and federal regulations. We've developed a survey because, as mentioned previously, the water utility is responsible for identifying the pipe materials, not only on the public side, which we are responsible for, but also on the private side. And while we have a very good handle on all the materials on the public side, there are still, quite a few that we don't know on the private side. So we've been reaching out to customers, asking them to participate in the survey. We've also done some inspection work, working with the Department of Health and their subcontractors in helping us identify the materials on the private side. So when I say public side, private side, there's a little sketch here that shows this is the main. The lead gooseneck is actually a connector that would come off the main, and then this is the public side, runs from the main basically to the edge of sidewalk or the property boundary where you have a curb stop. Then this is the private side. So the private side is where we're trying to identify all of these, and we're asking assistance from our customers to either provide the survey or if they get an inspection notice to have the line inspected. Bristol County Water also offers no interest 5-year finance program to replace this section of the line if there's a galvanized iron line that's and each side is roughly $5,000 to $7,000 per location. To date, we've had 10 customers participate in this program. With respect to facility and system planning, when I talk about some of the removal of the obsolete water system infrastructure that's no longer needed, we completed phase 1 of removing of the former treatment plant back in 2023. The dams were completed in 2024, and we have continued restoration and monitoring work in 2025 and 2026. The Hope Street pump station, which was on the cover page of this presentation, that was completed in 2024, and that serves to improve system pressure in that part of Bristol. Last year, we completed an analysis and pilot study of removing the Fountain Avenue water tank from the system, as that has shown to improve system pressure and fire flow throughout the Barrington service area. And following up on a programming and concept design study completed in 2021, preliminary design for a new operations maintenance facility was developed in October 2025. So one of our new initiatives is the construction of a new 18,000 square foot building to replace the outdated 1960s garage to provide sufficient employee office and workspace and storage for vehicle equipment and maintenance and warehouse. This is the conceptual plan for the new building. This is a footprint of the new proposed new building is to go. The former garage kind of sits here, and the former plant sits in this location right here. So as part of this redevelopment, this plant would need to be removed, and then eventually, once we move all the employees here, then we can remove the former, the current maintenance garage. As a proposed layout of the new facility, it shows new office and workspaces. This is the garage portion, a 3-bay garage for vehicles. We have a warehouse for storage of equipment and piping and things of that nature, valves, hydrants, and along with a vehicle wash bay. I added just a few photos of a recent project that the architects that we're working with, of some similar type building that we'd be looking at building here. The facility would have the height, so we could have lifts. Currently, we're not able to lift any vehicles up in the building that we currently use, and we do a lot of our own in-house maintenance on our vehicles. And it shows some office and conference room space. So the main part of our budget is the capital budget. And there's a breakdown of the costs associated with the capital budget. The biggest piece of this, the proposed new operations building, and that is being supposed to be funded by a new $15 million bond. As I said before, the water main rehabilitation work has been increased to $3.8 million. The service line replacement is $150,000. And we have $750,000 to complete the design and secure easements for the Phase 2 pipeline project. With respect to operations and maintenance budget, this year's proposed budget is actually a little less than last year's, although we do see an increase in utility rates and insurance rate costs and material costs. We've been able to keep the budget relatively flat, but the budget still meets all our contractual salary and benefit requirements for employees, and pensions and OPEB fund for retirees, and we'll continue to maintain a high level of service. And, you know, our operation and maintenance budget has remained relatively flat over the past 5 years. Since fiscal year '22, it's only averaged less than 1% per year, versus annual inflation rate of about 4.5% over the same period. And that budget was approved by the Bristol County Board on December 11th, 2025. There's a breakdown of the expenses. The capital budget expense actually greater than the O&M expenses. So the expenses, you have the O&M budget, a little over 9.6 million. Capital budget with cash and debt service there, and about $1 million. We identified a budget revenue requirement of a little over $17 million to support that budget. And we are recommending a 3% rate increase to support that revenue requirement and our 10-year financial plan for capital improvement program. The average residential cost increase on a 3% rate increase is $23 per year, or $1.92 per month. And in summary, the budget meets our strategic plan objectives in that it continues work on the Tucker Pipeline project. We will be doing work on our infrastructure to improve water quality and reliability. Continues to provide outstanding customer service using our latest meter technology, and it will ensure financial stability by maintaining our reserves for bonding and having to, reduce having future rate spikes. Any questions?
Very well presented, Steve.
There are apparently no members of the public here tonight. Steve already asked board members if they have any questions or thoughts regarding the rate increase. Anybody want to make a comment from public record?
I'll make one little comment. Did I just see the increase is going to be for a month,
$1.92.
$1.92. I just got a notice that my electric bill is going to be $20 more a month.
I have a question.
And water is one essential. You can't live without it. So.
We have it mentions that the reserve, I'll call it the reserve, we're
Could you
saving
speak
some
up a
money.
little?
Huh?
Could you speak up a little?
We're saving some money someplace in the instance that East Providence does not sign up with us. How much is that?
Dan, do you have the number?
It's mixed in with some of the operating money in a sense, so it's tough to give a solid number, but probably between about 35 and 40 million.
So then my question would be, if we sign up East Providence sometime this year at the 90% level, and they agree to a 50-50 split, that money, whatever amount it is, what you dig it out, can it be applied to doing projects here?
Well, then we'd be able to do future increases would be substantially less.
Outside of increases, if I said, because one of the things I'm promoting, I have to promote because of where I live. Can I dig one of those trenches or increase the low pressure areas in Warren and in Bristol? If East Providence signs up, do I have enough to do that?
If you look at our 10-year plan, we continue to provide work within this distribution system as well.
Yeah,
So-
that got dropped off in the last, when they took it from,
Right.
so can we
We'd have to look. We'd have to look at what the actual cost of the project comes out in that for one, right? So right now it's an estimated estimated
We
cost.
were estimating at 5
So-
million for one of them, 4 million or 3 million.
No, I mean, the pipeline project itself. So that's gonna be the biggest driver as to what we could be able to do in the future. So it's gonna be, what is the ultimate cost of that project? Is East Providence included in that or not? But I guess the question is, will we be able to do other work that you're saying?
Yes. If that,
Possibly.
If East Providence signs up and says, okay, I'm taking half the cost,
Right.
But keep this in mind, on an annual basis, we approve an annual budget. And on an annual basis, we'll have better information of what the actual expenses are going forward. If we see that we have income that we weren't expecting, and it's lowering our costs, then we have a good opportunity to then assess whether we want to take that found money and apply it to other projects. But correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, this year we're going to be spending $3.8 million on system
pipelining. Yes.
pipelining.
Yes.
We were only spending $1 million. Certainly inflation goes up, but we've increased our annual rate of expenditure on corrections to issues within the water system.
Some of that cash is also being used now, at least since I've been here, probably no longer. A lot of those cleaning linings and some of these other projects that are in the capital budget have been paid for with bond money. We're not using bond money to fund the $3.8 million in cleaning and linings for the next 5 or 6 years. The bond issue is going to be solely for the operations garage in that area. So we're already starting to use some of that reserve money to pay for capital expenditures within the system. So it doesn't keep building up so much. We're usually going to use it to.
I mean, the short answer is yes, it would definitely give us more opportunities.
Yeah, but I guess I'm confused. I didn't know we had X amount of dollars sitting someplace in the fund.
Oh,
That was, I know that one of the things from when I started, if East Providence doesn't go, BCWA was gonna fund the whole thing. That was the starting point.
right.
So we've been saving for that since.
Yeah, that's
starting
been,
18.
we've had some serious discussions about that, both in Finance Committee and
Well,
in
that's
board meetings about the money that's sitting out there and whether we need to earmark that in a certain manner or adopt a policy or whatever.
Do we know
So
how much is there?
what's the approximate amount?
Between 35 and 40 million. I don't know the exact number right off the top of my head.
I
Like I
think
said,
the other thing we gotta keep in mind though is, we're still in design phase, we haven't bid this thing out, so, we've tossed around $70 million as the cost to build it. We have no real clarity in terms of, but that's the number if it ends up being higher. So if it comes in there or lower, that's one dynamic. If it comes in at 80 or 90 million, that's a whole different dynamic, right, in terms of what other things we'd be able to do.
Well, we go back to we have that opportunity on an annual basis because we approve an annual budget.
Are we anticipating another bond when we actually start this work for Pawtucket?
yes.
Yeah.
The only items that right now are on the capital budget to be bonded are the garage and the phase 2. Those are the only items, like I said, in the past, recently, we've been using bond funds to do projects and we've wrapped in some cleaning and lining and small projects. Right now, we're paying for all that with cash to start slowing down how much that reserve is building up, since we're getting kind of hopefully closer to some clarity in terms of whether or not East Providence is in, how much it's gonna cost. Kind of wanted to slow that down a little bit.
Any other questions? I want to add to the public record, there are no members of the public here tonight, but about a week or so ago, 2 things happened. One, the office received a call from a very excited person who was very concerned about the rates going up and wanted to talk to the 3 representatives from the town of Bristol. The person was eventually forwarded to me to respond to. I called the person back the same day. I got the information and left a message on their phone. She then called me back and left a message on my phone, and she said in that message that we were going to be playing telephone tag. We exchanged a number of phone calls, but never actually talked to each other. But we did exchange emails also, and I provided her with a link to our website, which would have the presentation on it, and I did that like last Friday. I told her she could contact me anytime. I didn't hear it back from her until this morning. This morning, she said she couldn't get on, she couldn't download the presentation. I then checked that out, and there was a minor delay in downloading, but it did download fine, and I was able to watch the whole presentation and so forth. I then responded to her email and told her I was sending her, attached to my email, a copy of the presentation that will be made at the meeting tonight. And I told her again about the meeting tonight, what time it was, where it was, and so on and so forth. I didn't hear back from her. The other thing that happened last week was, as I'm wandering around the internet and I'm on Facebook, there's a website, a Facebook discussion group called Around Bristol 02809, our zip code. And it's a place where everybody and anybody can go and raise issues, advertise their services, tell about a great restaurant in town, and so on and so forth. Discussions are not limited to any particular subject. The discussion group leader and founder noted to the internet that we were having a hearing on our rates tonight. And she also noted that it was for a rate increase. I repeated myself. She mentioned that it was a rate increase and had a minor disparaging remark about rate increases in general. That spurred at least 21 persons to respond to her notice and make comments about the rate increase. And I'll give you the summary of what they talked about. Number one, it was a general concern about rate increases at the Bristol County Water Authority, but mostly rate increases in general over other utilities and prices in general. People mentioned that they were fortunate that they had a well. A number of people talked about itchiness after taking showers, and it had to be due to the water. There was a person in Riverside who confirmed that she had the same problem. Riverside, we don't serve. Someone else pointed out that the common link between all of this is the Providence water supply system. Others showed pictures of their dishwasher and how sudsy the water was. They also were mentioned that the water is very cloudy at times. And they also was general comments that everything is increasing these days. One person said the problem with the rate increase at the Bristol County Water Authority is that nobody shows up at the meetings or the public hearings. And that's evident tonight. I don't know if that's the problem though. Someone else went to a pretty extreme by pointing out what the bladder cancer risk and rates are in Bristol County as opposed to other parts of the state. They declared it was much higher than elsewhere. I'm not going to get into statistics here, but I'm not thinking that we're going to have a major problem here. Again, Providence supplies a large portion of water to the entire state. Other people complain that their hair is very dry after taking showers, and someone even said that the water's too hot. And that was-
not too hot.
the water was too hot.
There you go.
So we had a range of comments, but really, there were no serious discussion about the rates, and nobody showed up tonight. So I present this in all seriousness because I've talked to a number of utilities, and many people don't pay too much attention to places like Facebook. I look at them because there's always some legitimate comments being made. I gave you a quick summary of them all. If you want to know what the link is, I can get it for you later on. But that was what it was. So, any other members of the public want to make their concerns known tonight? I don't see anybody here from the general public. And as a result, we'll close the hearing.
Motion.
The hearing is closed. Thank you.